Winston turns, play action fake, gonna throw it, rolling right, looking, throwing. It is picked off by the Lions, intercepted at the 45-yard line. Takeaway, that's what they needed. Defense coming up with a huge play. Thomas Harper stepping in front of the intended receiver.
Welcome to Week 13 of the NFL season. I am Tim Twentyman. This is the Twentyman the Huddle podcast. He is John Neal, very talented columnist for the Detroit News.
It's good to be here, Tim.
Yeah, this is becoming like an annual thing.
That's right.
On
A
Thanksgiving
little reunion,
with us.
right?
We did this last year for Thanksgiving, so we decided to re-up it. It was so good.
Slightly bigger. The stakes have raised this Thanksgiving.
Stakes have raised. This is a big game, isn't it?
It is a huge game. Yeah, it's the biggest game of the year. Like, I kind of felt like that even before the season. We looked at that schedule. You know, all those primetime games and, you know, the sort of murderer's row of primetime games. And this was the one still to me that's like, you know, the goal of this season, like every season, but especially this season, was to win the division. Yeah. And this is the game you got to win the division.
Yeah,
especially
I don't think the
opener.
loser wins.
No, right.
At least the path is
crazier things
hard.
have happened, certainly in this NFC North. It's a log jam. But, yeah, it's the winner of this one is right there as maybe I think probably wins the division, to be honest. No offense to Ben Johnson and the Bears, but I do think that the winner of this one is in the driver's seat, and the losers really got to need some help.
That silly tie screwed everything up.
I know, you know? But it kind of makes things easier for us, hopefully, at the end of the season.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I do think this is sort of this is a make-or-break game for both these teams in terms of the division.
Well, let's talk about the Giants a little bit before we look forward to the Packers. And John, it felt like on Monday the Lions were apologizing for a win.
Right.
You know, did it get that sense too? Just you hear the sports talk radio and my X account and everything else. It felt bad. Is there such a thing as a bad win in the NFL? And you shouldn't have to apologize, right?
No. Look, I mean, just look at who the Giants beat. They've only got 2 wins, but you know. They beat
Philadelphia.
You know. So no, and look, it was a game all week. They tried to tell everybody this team is not a 2-9 team.
Good point.
The reason why their head coach got fired was because they kept blowing fourth quarter leads, which of course they did again on Sunday. But no, and I think, you know, look, you're always looking for the positive spin after a game like that if you're the Lions, but I think there is something to the fact that, you know, Aiden Hutchinson after the game was talking about, like, something we really hadn't done before was down 10, 11, 12 minutes left, come back, win. And those things there's a confidence that comes from that that I think is important. And you know, every good team is going to have one of those games in a season, maybe more than one. You know, if you're the Lions and if you're a Lions fan, you're hoping that it's not a regular thing, being 10 down or double digits down in the fourth quarter. But no, I think there's something to be said for, hey, we can do this. We can come from behind and win a game like that when we're not playing our best, because they certainly didn't play their best or close to it.
And there's something to be said for your star power at the end being a big part of that too, right? Jahmyr Gibbs, Aiden Hutchinson gets the sack, you know, and it was your stars that made the plays at the end of the game. And to your point, you want to prove that you can come back, but your stars have to be stars in those big moments too. And I thought that was something positive to come out of that game. You wrote about the defense after the game. I'm just curious, what impressed you about that performance, and what's one thing maybe that you got some reservations about when you look at that defense?
I mean, it's pretty easy to me. I mean, the one thing that impressed me was, you know, look at so many things went wrong for them on that side of the ball, especially a week after they had, you know, played championship level defense in the game in Philly on prime time. The explosive, was it 10 explosive plays? I mean, it's just, it was sort of unheard of. It was jarring. Looked like scramble drills on the defensive side. A few too many plays there. You know, there's some miscommunication. Certainly, there's a lot of things that went wrong. The one thing that you can say about this defense more than anything else is that run defense is legitimately one of the best in the league. It's a constant. It's, you know, you're always going to be in a game, you feel like, with the way they stop the run. And that's a Giants team that, like, it's not a world-beating Giants offense with, you know, the pieces they're missing. But they were running the ball, and they could run the ball. And they didn't effectively. Was it 3.1 yards a carry or whatever? I mean, they did enough in the run game to keep themselves in that.
They abandoned it at one point
and then
with the lead.
Yeah, now they were. Jameis Winston had the problem was Jameis had way too much time to throw.
Yeah, and that's been an issue.
And that's been an issue.
Cropped up multiple times this year.
You get one sack and it's the very last play of the game. Certainly it was an important sack, but he just had way too much time. I think it was like second longest.
Yeah, 3.22 seconds or something like that. I saw that
this season. So that's a problem. That's why it looked as bad as it did probably on the back end because there wasn't enough pressure. And Jameis is a guy that we all know he's going to give you chances to make plays and get turnovers if you put a little pressure, and they just didn't enough that game.
All right, let's look forward to Thursday.
Yes.
Big game. We've talked about it. What does Detroit have to do, in your opinion, Thursday to come out on top? It's a really good Green Bay defense.
Mm-hmm.
Top 5 in scoring, top 5 in total defense. It's an offense that's in the top half of the league. They're pretty balanced. Yep. Defensively, they're really good. What is it?
Second best defense they've probably played this year, I would say. Maybe behind Philly.
What jumps out?
You got to start fast. You've got to run the ball, and that's the thing. Look, we saw what happened. All the miscommunication. It was the first time out for Tate Ratledge and Christian Mahogany and that interior offensive
different
line.
Team now.
It is a different team now. It's a different. Micah Parsons was just getting his feet wet. He had just shown up in Green Bay. Now he is Micah Parsons. That defensive front they can rush for and sack the quarterback. Jared Goff was sacked, 4 times in that opener?
Hit 9
times. That can't happen again.
Yeah.
But the way to make sure that doesn't happen is to get that run game going early, get the crowd in it, but obviously is the other change when you change the venue like this. I think that's important to establish a run and get some play action. Now, the other thing that's been missing, obviously, is that, that explosive deep shot in this offense. Teams are not going to let him do it. J-Mo's not going to get behind, the safeties are not going to let that happen unless you force them to make it happen. And so that's, to me, I just think there's opportunities there, but to me it's going to start with that run game.
And if they take that big shot away, then you've got to take advantage of the run game, like you talked about. Right. They didn't week 1.
Especially now because you're missing Sam Laporta, which is a huge piece that we probably don't talk about enough.
Yeah.
There's no replacing that in terms of not just a safety valve, but in the run game. And look, you might not have Khalif Raymond this week, so maybe, like you said, Isaac Teslaa gets a little more action. Maybe there's more passing to Jahmyr Gibbs again, which is certainly a weapon. But, to me it's going to start with that line establishing the run.
And speaking of Gibbs, I think it was 9 carries for 19 yards in that first week.
It was 40 to 44 total. I mean, it just can't happen.
It was bad. Something tells me Mr. Gibbs won't have 9 carries for 19 yards at home on that fast track. John, look, 219 yards rushing, 3 runs of 49-plus last week. He's top 3 in just about every category among running backs. And you start to see the Lions always put out these statistics right on the X account, and it's since Barry Sanders.
It's like a holds page.
The last one since Barry Sanders. First time since all these things. 40-plus touchdowns. He's probably going to catch Barry in terms of 47 touchdowns before he's 24. It's hard to compare anybody to who I think is the greatest running back in the history of the game, but it's starting to trend that way.
Look, when you set a franchise record, what was his total?
264. Yeah.
When you set a franchise record for a franchise that once was home to Barry Sanders for a decade, that tells you everything you need to know. But he's just. And what is it now? He's got 3 of the 5 fastest speeds measured in the league this year. I mean, that's the thing to me. I mean, there's nothing more entertaining than watching, a quick block. Panay Sewell turns around, raises his arms, and Jahmyr Gibbs is still almost 60 yards away from the end zone. It's just like, he's gone. And I mean, that's the sort of thing that you obviously can't coach, but you also can't defend.
Yeah.
If you give him room to run like that, if they can, if they can do the fundamental things at the line of scrimmage the way they did on a few of those run plays, he's taking it to the house, and that is just a complete game changer. And that's especially for a team that obviously doesn't have the offensive line it had a year ago, or 2 years ago, or 3 years ago. That's that's everything they need, really, is he's going to have to be able to provide that here down the stretch against these better defenses.
And I love how they're incorporating him in the pass game, too. I think 46 catches. I think he had 52 each of his first 2 years, so he's going to obviously exceed that if he stays healthy and plays. And that's another way that they can get the ball to him in
and
space.
not like it was in the opener where it was whatever, he set a record for like fewest yards on 10 catches or whatever. That was just like, oh, man, we've got no other option here, outlet. We just got to dump it off. No, they've got Texas routes, everything, whatever.
That Texas route versus Washington.
There was a wheel route last week where it was like, ooh, and I think we're going to see one of those at some point. Maybe it's this week where he's downfield catching the ball.
How fun is the NFC North right now?
I know, it's pretty crazy, right? I was looking at this too. It's the Bears are on top, right?
Right.
The Packers are right there. The Lions are right there. But if you look at the strength of schedule remaining in the league, they're 3 of the top 4 because they're all playing each other.
Right.
The Bears and Packers have to play each other twice.
Yeah.
Lions obviously have to finish at Soldier Field in January. Obviously they're playing this week on Thanksgiving, but there's so much that can happen here. And those other 2 teams, to be honest, if you're a Lions fan, you'd rather play the schedule they've got left than what
100%.
Chicago and what Green Bay.
Chicago still has to go to San Francisco and Philadelphia.
Yeah. And some of those weeks are
Bay
really
twice.
awkward too because you're going to San Francisco the week before. A Sunday night game before the Lions, before they're back home to play the Lions. Anyway, there's plenty to be decided, but it's not going to be decided till the end. I think that's what's starting to come.
You think that week 18 is Chicago
I do really think, whether it means it's Lions and Bears playing to get in, or maybe the Lions and the Packers are at the Vikings, or vice versa. I can't remember now. I do think it's going to come down to the end, just like last year.
This division's better when Chicago's good, right?
Oh, it's absolutely. These rivalries are, that's the thing. Like, we went so long in this town, in particular, with, would-be rivals. But now that the Lions have been on top and these teams are all gunning, we saw it in the opener in Lambeau. That meant a lot to the Packers to finally sort of end the Lions' jinx. That they hadn't beaten them, with any hadn't had any luck beating them here in the last few years. That meant a lot for them. Well, now the shoe's on the other foot. It's like, all right, counterpunch. And you could hear it in Dan Campbell's voice.
And the Ben Johnson move to Chicago has obviously amped that up a little bit, and that'll be the topic of conversation for years to come as long as Ben's there. And we know Green Bay's always going to be good. Yeah. It's a little odd with Minnesota. Yeah, Kevin O'Connell's been that quarterback whisperer in Minnesota for so long, and that just something doesn't seem right with J.J. McCarthy right now.
Whispers are starting to sound a little.
But that's a good roster. That's a quarterback away from being right there again too, and so it's fun.
No, you wondered at the beginning of this year. Okay, where's it? How far is Chicago going to make this jump? It feels like the best division in football, possibly still, and that's a lot of fun for fans. It's anxious, but it's fun.
Well, you're one of the best columnists in Detroit. So Thanksgiving. Let's end on this. Yeah. It's Thanksgiving. What's a must? What has to be on the plate at the Neal House?
So I'm a stuffing guy.
Stuffing?
I'm a stuffing guy. Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah, I'll make an extra batch of stuffing just for me, basically.
Leftovers.
Exactly. Yeah, right.
I love it. Well, big game on Thursday.
Yeah,
you will be there. You can listen to, or you can read everything in the Detroit news from John Neo. And thanks for taking the time.
Thanks for having me, man. Yeah.
Welcome back to the Twentyman Huddle podcast. Everybody knows the guy sitting next to me, Isaac Teslaa. Welcome to the podcast. Thanks for joining. I appreciate it. First time as a rookie.
Absolutely. Debut.
It's like just 2 West Michigan kids sitting here
out.
having a chat.
Right.
I'm from Zeeland. You're from neighboring Hudsonville. And speaking of Hudsonville Unity Christian, the team that you quarterbacked to a state championship, is in the Division IV championship on Friday, I believe.
You got it.
You got a game Thursday. You're going to be able to make it down to the championship game on Friday?
That's the plan.
And they're playing Divine Child. So is there or is there not a bet, a friendly little wager in place between you and Aiden Hutchinson, rival high schools there?
Well, yeah, before this previous game, I went up to him like, did you see who you're playing in the state finals? Like, yeah, bro, we got to do a bet or something. So I said, yeah, for sure. And we haven't had a lot of time to talk after that. And obviously before the game, we're not too worried about anything but the game. But I definitely think we're going to put something together, something fun.
Take me back to those Unity Christian days. You're quarterbacking the team there. Did you ever anticipate that you would one day again be playing at Ford Field, but this time with a blue jersey on for your hometown team and the team you've always cheered for?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say I anticipated it by any means, but I mean, it's always been my dream since I was a little boy. So that moment was so special for me to be able to go into the dome that I've been watching the Lions play my entire life, to be able to go and win a game there with my closest friends and family in the stands was super cool. So the fact that I am here now in this position, and I mean, it's even surreal that I get to go back there and now watch the team that I did, go to the state championship with. Now I get to watch them, and it's just super surreal.
And you probably figured at the time that if that dream was going to happen, it would probably be a quarterback. And you go to college, you make the switch to wide receiver. Some guys would resist that. What was that conversation like? Obviously turned out to be the best thing for you, but just talk me through kind of that journey and how you got to where you are in terms of being a wide receiver.
Yeah, I mean, it was really my own decision. Like, nobody pressured me or even suggested it, that I make the switch to receiver, but I just felt like my build and athleticism was better as a receiver than it was a quarterback, which is kind of crazy to think because I never caught a ball in a game. I was always I was mostly running it. We threw it very seldomly just because we ran the straight tee. But I just felt like who I was athletically, my speed, my size, my ability to jump up and go get a ball, because I would do drills with my dad all the time, and I would get bored throwing the ball, so I'd go out there and he'd make me run routes. So I mean, I was getting reps at it, but it wasn't like I knew that's what I wanted to do until about after my junior season, after we won state, going into that summer, going to camps. I was like, I think I want to try going as a receiver instead of a quarterback. And
was it a easy transition? Was it quick? Did you have kind of quick success because of your athleticism and your size?
I wouldn't say it was easy. I mean, there's so many nuances to being a receiver that I didn't realize kind of going into it. Like, watching TV, you're like, oh, all you got to do is run the route and go catch a ball. But, I mean, you can't just run the lines on the paper. And there's different reads you got to make and all this stuff. So, I mean, playing a quarterback, kind of seeing the field that way probably helped me a little bit as a receiver as I learned it. But, I mean, it's just a completely different position to play. And I had to learn so many techniques. And thankfully, my dad was a receiver at Hillsdale, where I ended up going. So he helped me out a lot, and we spent a lot of time together working on my craft as a receiver.
And it's no joke in this offense playing wide receiver, too, with the splits and the timing and everything that Jared is so specific about. What was that learning curve, too, coming here? Was it a lot? Was it a lot more than what you did at Arkansas when you transferred there?
Oh, definitely. I mean, everything is so, like, pinpoint, like you said. All the coordinators, and especially Jared, is so nitpicky about how everything needs to be, because everything has a rhyme or reason to it. It's not like, hey, you go and get in that split for a reason, or you run this route this way just because I want it. It's because that's the stuff that works against the defenses that we're going against. So you really got to lock into the game plan, get in your playbook, and see how things shake out on the field when you're out at practice.
We've seen you become bigger part of this offense the last few weeks. I think over 20 offensive snaps the last 3 weeks. Khalif Raymond's dealing with an ankle injury. We'll see if he's available on Thursday. The expectation, if he can't go, you will have a much bigger role. You're really not a rookie anymore at this point, right? After 11 games. I'm curious, as you evaluate your first couple months in the league, what do you think's been your biggest asset, and what's the one thing maybe you want to focus on improving the most?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say my biggest thing is just my versatility. Obviously, people look at me and they damn near think I'm a tight end just because of my size. But, I mean, you see me running my 40. I got some speed to me, and I have some elusiveness. So I just feel like I bring a lot of versatility. I can play multiple positions on the field, inside, outside. I can block. So I definitely think that's like my biggest strength is just my versatility. And then what was the other part of it?
Just what's one thing, you want to continue to kind of build and work on? What's one thing that jumps out to you in that regard?
Yeah, I'd say just like my overall craftiness. Obviously, right now I'm so focused on like doing it the right way and, locking in what it is, how it looks on the sheet. But, I mean, as a receiver, you got to have some savvy to you. So, making, separating at the top, releasing and stuff like that. So just all that stuff I really want to continue to work on.
Thanksgiving, obviously tradition as a Lions fan, you've watched a ton. Just how surreal is it now to be playing in this game. Probably a ton of family coming over from West Michigan. You could have a big role in this game as well. How much have you been looking forward to this week and this game?
Yeah, it's obviously super special, and obviously being a Lions fan growing up, and the tradition that it is, watching the Lions play every Sunday was something I really look forward to. Obviously, I looked forward to Grandma's cooking and Thanksgiving meal, but that was always number 2 to watching the Lions play. And for a long time we didn't have a lot of success, but last year I think we broke a pretty long streak of losses on Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I think it was 6 or 7 in a row. Yeah.
So I want to keep that rolling, and it's cool that I'm going to be a part of it. And my family's coming out this way, so it's cool that we're going to have Thanksgiving on the east side this year as opposed to the west side.
Not just Thanksgiving though, too. I mean, it's Green Bay, a team that you guys lost to week 1. Obviously, huge game with division implications, playoff implications. How different of a football team are you guys since all the way back in week 1?
Yeah, I mean, we've definitely learned a lot, and it's nice now. We got some scout games we can watch. The Packers, obviously, going into week 1, you never know what you're going to get. So it's good to get we can get some scout tape on them, kind of see what their tendencies are, and get that film. But like you said, it's obviously a huge game for us, and really for both of us, us and the Packers. Like you said, we lost the first one, so we definitely got a chip on our shoulder. But I mean, it's not like they're going to let off the gas by any means, and it's going to be huge implications for kind of the playoff picture going forward. So you never want to put too much importance on a game. You want to treat every game the same, but this one's definitely going to have a big impact on the rest of the season.
From the outside looking in, it seems like you stepped into a pretty good situation with Scotty Montgomery, in that room with veterans like Khalif Raymond, Amon-Ra St. Brown. How perfect of a situation has that been, having kind of that experience in that room for you?
It's just been incredible. The leadership from Scotty Montgomery is something that I really appreciate. I remember even coming in my visit, I knew that was someone that I would see myself really thriving under, and I really appreciated his leadership, not only on the football field, because he's incredibly smart. He knows everything offensively, defensively. Like, he's just such a football guru. And then everyone knows the receiver room that we have. So just be able to step into that and look up to guys like Saint and J-Mo and Khalif and even TK. I mean, that dude is so versatile, and he's been hanging around here for a long time. So just be able to sit behind all those guys and learn from them, and now be able to play with them on the field it's been very beneficial for me. I'm
excited to see you have a bigger role. Are you excited to kind of have that bigger role down the stretch too? And Dan Campbell said this week, he said, look, it's coming. His breakout game is coming. We see it on the practice field. We know that the potential is there, and it's coming. What does that mean? That confidence coming from the head coach.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely a confidence booster, but it's not something you can go into the game and you can force. Like, it's got to come with time. So it's not like I'm going into every game like, oh man, I hope this is the one. Like, I really hope this is my breakout game. Like, I just go into the game. I got to do my job. I just got to do what I got to do, and if the ball comes my way, and so be it.
Well, and the ball comes your way, you catch it. One hand, two hands. It hasn't mattered this year. A couple great catches. Hopefully you have another great catch, a touchdown against Green Bay like you did week 1. Last question, what's the must on the table? You talked about the cooking. Thanksgiving's coming east. What has to be on Isaac's plate on Thanksgiving?
About half the plate is mashed potatoes, gravy, corn on top.
I like it. Well, good luck to you on Thursday. Your first hit at the Thanksgiving Day tradition as a player. Go have that big game. Appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you.
Welcome back to the Twentyman Huddle podcast. I'm very happy to welcome in Mike Spofford. He does a great job as the editor of Packers.com. Mike, thanks for joining me. Appreciate you.
Yeah, you bet. Thanks for having me, Tim.
Short week. This is, I think, the 23rd meeting we've had here on Thanksgiving, so we're familiar with this. Us a little bit more than you, but just how tough are these short weeks for the players, for the coaches, for us? Quick to turning this around. Not that the fans really care about us, but it's tough these short weeks, aren't it?
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, I don't know, how the players do it, quite frankly, to play, 4 quarters on a Sunday and then turn around 4 days later and have to put their bodies through that again on a day where you would really just normally be putting the pads back on for the first time during the week to get a practice in, and you've got to go play another game. I always think the Thursday games are really different for the road team versus the home team too, because when you're getting on an airplane on Wednesday to fly somewhere, at least when you're playing at home on Thursday, you don't have that the travel part of it where it almost feels like another day is taken away on a short week when you're the road team. But every team goes through it at some time or another. You guys are used to hosting this game, and certainly the Packers have played in Detroit on Thanksgiving a number of times, including just 2 years ago.
You know, it's interesting. I talked to Alex Anzalone in the locker room yesterday, and I was just curious. I'm like, during a normal week, like, when do you start to, like, feel good? Like, when is your body, like, ready to – and he was like, I start to feel, like, real good, like my body's good if I don't suffer an injury on Friday of a typical week, and now he's strapping it up after playing an overtime game on Sunday. So it's definitely tough on these players and coaches. But Mike, I want to talk about this Packers defense first and foremost. Top 5 in the NFL in total defense, top 5 in scoring defense. Held Minnesota, I think, to 145 total yards on Sunday, just 4 total net yards in the second half. How good is that unit? And was Micah Parsons, Mike, the missing piece to that unit? Has he kind of tied it all together?
Yeah, I mean, I would say Parsons is definitely a guy who, he's taken a good defense and kind of helped to put it over the top and raise it to another level, because the Packers were playing pretty good defense down the stretch last year in Jeff Hafley's first year as defensive coordinator. Things were really coming together with Edgerrin Cooper coming into his own at the end of his rookie year. He had other rookies like Javon Bullard and Evan Williams. They were getting that experience in their first seasons. Then, you're bringing all that back, and then right before the start of the season, you add Parsons to the mix. So, it's a unit, quite frankly, that's really had only one like bad game, and that was way back in week 4. It was a 40-40 overtime tie at Dallas, where suddenly, the Packers defense just didn't look like what we've seen the rest of the year. But that was really the exception, and not the rule. And really what happened, in the Vikings game is, for the first time in about a month, the Packers actually got a multi-score lead. They were able to build an 11-point lead. It was 17-6 early in the third quarter against the Vikings. And once the Vikings, kind of had to throw the ball, they couldn't rely on the running game because they were down multiple scores. Then the Packers pass rush just overwhelmed them. And that's really the formula for the Packers, is to build a lead and then turn the pass rush led by Parsons loose on the opposition. But when the Packers have not had that type of a lead, then the defense doesn't necessarily play like that. It's a lot harder to just pin your ears back and go after the quarterback when you're in a tight down to the wire game. So those are the kind of the differences we've seen with this unit throughout the course of the year.
When you talk about building a lead, you look at this team offensively, just the weapons on the outside at receiver. I know they lost their tight end. That was a big loss for them. But, Josh Jacobs is one of the better running backs in this league. You look at the statistics, and I think they're 13th and 13th offensively, so they're kind of right in the middle of the pack in the NFL. But just personnel-wise, it seems from the outside looking in, they should maybe be a little bit better than that. What's maybe been some of the inconsistencies on that side of the football where they haven't been able to build those big leads, pin their ears back, and let that defense eat?
Yeah, the biggest issues that have cropped up over the course of the year, kind of holding the Packers offense back, have been penalties, and as was the case just a couple of times in the Eagles game and in the Giants game, were the drop passes. Now, drop passes were an issue for the Packers last season in 2024. They seem to have kind of cleaned that up through the first half of 2025, but then they had a couple of games where again, the catching of the ball just wasn't clean, and it cost them. Penalty-wise, the offense has just had, throughout the course of the years, had way too many pre-snap penalties, whether it be the false starts or illegal motion or illegal formation with guys lining up wrong. Just the mental mistakes that have compounded and made things difficult for the offense in certain situations. the last 2 weeks against the Giants and the Vikings, the pre-snap penalties, knock on wood for the Packers, have kind of gone away. They feel like if that part of their offensive game is cleaned up, then things start to look more consistent, more productive on offense. So they're hoping that that's behind them. But of course, now you're going to be going into an indoor stadium, a crazy Detroit crowd, Thanksgiving Day, that the noise is going to be there. The crowd is going to bring it. So the Packers have to stay on their P's and Q's with regard to, keeping those pre-snap penalties at bay for this offense to be in the position it wants to be.
Yeah, it's crazy. You mentioned the drops. Detroit was the best team in the NFL last year in terms of fewest amount of drops, drop percentage. Packers were, down at the bottom of the league, but that's been an issue for Detroit now this year. Those have cropped up. Very steady hand. Amon-Ra St. Brown has had a few. Jameson Williams has had the issue. So it's just interesting how year over year some of those statistics and some of those things can just kind of flip upside down. Mike, short week means injuries are always a storyline. I'm just curious, how are the Packers health-wise? The injury report on Monday looked pretty good. What's the opinion of Josh Jacobs, maybe some of those other guys injury-wise, and their availability for Thursday?
Yeah, I mean, on that long list of guys on the injury report, I would say the two biggest things, the two biggest pieces of news as far as that estimation on Monday was that both Josh Jacobs at running back and Quay Walker at linebacker were estimated as limited participants. So they may be on their way back to be able to play on Thursday after both of those guys missed the game this past Sunday against Minnesota. So those are probably the two biggest ones to watch. And then the other one is Keyshawn Nixon, the Packers' #1 corner. He left the game against the Vikings with a shoulder stinger. He did not return. Kamal Hadden came off the bench to replace him. Nixon was estimated as a DNP for Monday on the injury report. So very up in the air as to whether he will be able to come back. But the other side is that Nate Hobbs, another cornerback who has missed some games now with a knee injury, he was estimated as limited, that he would be back in practice. So whether he's potentially in the mix at cornerback on Thursday, we'll have to keep an eye on that. And as we all know, I mean, we'll kind of find out the final word 90 minutes before kickoff on all these guys.
Yeah, last time these two teams played, it seems like so long ago, Mike. Week 1 at Lambeau, it seems like almost last season. Two obviously very different teams at this point in the season. But look, the Packers handed it to the Lions in Week 1. I mean, they won by 2 touchdowns. It really never was a contest. I'm curious now, you look 2-3 months later, what's the biggest concern for Green Bay coming to Detroit on Thursday? What are they looking at it as something that they have to do if they're going to escape Ford Field with a victory and a season sweep of the Lions?
Yeah, I mean, I don't like to oversimplify things because this game is never simple and it's complicated. But if you want to break it down into a really succinct soundbite from the Packers' perspective, it's tackle Jahmyr Gibbs and block Aiden Hutchinson, because those from Green Bay's perspective, those are the two guys who can give you a really long day on either side of the ball. And when you go back to Week 1, as you said, it feels like it was forever ago. It feels like it was last season. Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery were kind of, splitting time, and it was very much an uneven work share back then at the beginning part of the season. We've seen Jahmyr Gibbs really come on as a dangerous, big-time home run hitter who has become an even bigger part of this offense, at least in my opinion, as the season has gone on for the Lions. And obviously the game he had last week against the Giants was just out of this world. So that rises to the top of the list. And the other thing with Hutchinson, back in Week 1, the Packers were able to neutralize Hutchinson, but that was also his first game back from the long layoff last year after the really rough injury and the long rehab and all that. And we've seen Aiden Hutchinson, as the season has gone along, get back to being a lot more like the pre-injury Aiden Hutchinson that we had seen. And I think the Packers have to be ready for Hutchinson's best on Thursday, and they've got to find a way to minimize his impact as well.
Mike, how fun is this race in the NFC North right now? Obviously, look, give Chicago credit, right? They're finding ways to win games. It hasn't been pretty, but look, you never apologize for wins in this league. At least that's the philosophy here in Detroit. I'm sure it is with Ben Johnson in Chicago. You knew the Packers were going to be right there. You knew Detroit was going to be right there. Minnesota obviously having a little bit of quarterback issues, and when you have that, it's tough to consistently win in this league. But for those three teams, just how fun has this been? And look, from a Packers perspective, I think you guys 5 of your last 7 are against division opponents. So I mean, you guys control your own destiny. But just overall, Mike, how fun do you expect this finish in the NFC North to be? And how big is Thursday's game because of that?
Yeah, I mean, I think the winner of Thursday's game in Detroit, puts themselves in a pretty good position to be able to win the division. And the loser is going to have a very hard time, I think, winning the division. You're going to be looking more at the wild card scenarios, I think, than possible division championships. There's still a long way to go, but the Bears at 8-3, the Packers at 7-3-1, the Lions at 7-4, and here we are. The Packers and Lions are playing each other. The Lions and the Bears still have to play one more game. The Packers and the Bears have 2 games left to play against one another. So this can go any number of different ways. And here we are, hitting the holidays, and the fact that the Packers and Lions are playing on Thursday, and then the Bears are playing the Eagles on Friday. I mean, before we even get to the weekend, there can be all of this shifting around in the NFC North just based on these Thursday, Friday results. So it's been fun so far, and I think it's only going to get more intense as we get down the stretch here.
It'll be fun. Chicago, Detroit, Week 18. Ben Johnson, if he's in the mix, that could be a fun little storyline. But it's a big one Thursday. I agree with you. The winner definitely has the edge. It makes this matchup on Thanksgiving really, really big in terms of the NFC playoff picture and the NFC North division title. Mike, I appreciate you taking the time. Great stuff. As always, you can catch all Mike's stuff on Packers.com. And safe travels to Detroit, and we'll see you on Thursday, my friend.
Sounds good, Tim. Happy Thanksgiving.